It's your first time attending a card show, or maybe your first time setting up, and you need to know what the do's and don'ts of attending a card show are. Well, that's what I'm going to be covering today. I'm going to be talking to dealers, card show attendees, and give you some thoughts of my own. Let's get to it. All right, so I'm here at Culture Collision. I always love coming to this show. First of all, it's just easy for me to get to. But the bigger thing that I wanted to do this week is something a little bit different than your usual card show vlog. I've obviously done that. I went up to Chantilly. I've been to a lot of shows. But this time I wanted to actually give you a fresh perspective and do something that I've never seen done in a video, which is hear from dealers and hear from buyers, people attending the card show, about their perspective on what they expect from the other side of the table. It's really important to have good etiquette at a show. We're here to have fun. We're here to make deals. We're here to buy and sell cards and trade. And in order to do that, there's certain rules and things that you want to do and absolutely do not want to do. So I'm excited. I'm gonna go find some people who are willing to share some of those insights, and then I'll close out the video by giving you some thoughts of my own. Let's see who we can find. All right, so give me one thing that you wish people would do when they come up to your booth, and give me one thing you wish they would never do.
What should more people do, do when they come to the table? Ask more questions. Ask, hey, do you have this person? Hey, do you, I see you have it at this price, can you do it on this price? I think a lot of people come to the table and get scared when they see the price and stuff, and they don't interact with the dealer and everything, and I think a lot of dealers want that interaction with them. So all I'm saying is that when you come to the table, ask questions. You know what I'm saying? There's no dumb questions out there. We'll answer any question you gotta have. So that's my do more of, yeah.
I know.
What I don't want people to do when they come to the table is when they put their cases down, like on the ground next to the leg, it's just easier to get stolen. You know what I'm saying? Because you're dealing with cards and everything on the table, both your hands are gone. And like I said, especially people with smaller cases that can't really see, I can see maybe exactly like that. Put it in between your leg. It's a lot of theft that's been going on and everything. Just be mindful of the situation. Just either, like I said, ask the dealer to, hey, can I put this on the table? Or right in between your legs. That would help out tremendously, especially everything that's going on right now. But like I said, I want to definitely be clear on that, is that do not put your case by your leg, right side, left side, in between your legs. Everything will hopefully work out better.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You're the man.
Thanks, man. Old school. I got a lot of different stuff. I have a really big Andre Drummond collection. Yep. That was what I got into when I got back in the hobby about 6 years ago. And so I have the best Andre Drummond collection in the world for sure. But now I don't know. I like 90s stuff. I've been paring down my collection a lot, trying to refocus it, you know. Barry Bonds, probably the greatest player of all time. Like, you can't really argue with it. Video game stats, like absolute video, even before the juice. Even before the juice, the guy was unbelievable. So in a way, you kind of wish he hadn't done it. Right. Because I still think his stats would hold up. He'd be one of the all-time greats even in that, but I think everybody was juicing and creaming and doing all the things back. Everybody, I mean, a lot of people, including some who I think have made it to the Hall of Fame. So, let Barry in. That's what I say. All right, so give me one thing you would love to see people do when they come up to your booth, and one thing you don't want to see them do.
Yeah, I want to see them smile. I don't want to see them frowning at all.
Okay.
I would love for people to be intimate with the cards. You know, I have them, available for you to pick up. I want you to put them in your hands and look at them, one by one. You don't have to, feel afraid to pick them up.
Okay.
So that's what I really like, vendors to do.
And what's one thing you wish they wouldn't do when they come up?
That they wouldn't do?
Yeah. Any pet peeves, anything that's like, hey, that's not good etiquette?
I mean, just I don't like it when, folks just walk by maybe and just don't, look at your cards and then don't say anything to you. Yeah, just be cordial.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
just
good.
Be cordial. That's all.
It's a hobby. It's a community.
Yeah, and it's
friendly.
fun.
It's fun.
It's fun. We're out here having a good time.
That's right.
Yeah, just put a smile on your face.
All right, I like it. I like it. All right, so give me some things that you love to see a dealer do, and then some things that you don't like to see as much from a dealer when you're at a show.
Yeah, I love when I can walk up to a table, and I see prices, because, it is super busy here. I don't have to ask. If I see something I like, I already know, can kind of look on Market Mover, see how it's going with that. And then just good communication. So I already know going into it, kind of if I got some wiggle room or, anything like that to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really the best, because it does get hectic in places like
It does,
this.
and when you're at a busy show and you're trying to make the rounds, and maybe
Exactly,
you can't even
right.
cover the whole, maybe you have an hour.
Yeah.
If I walk up to a booth and there's no prices, to me that's an indication that the dealer either doesn't price their cards, like they don't know what they're worth, or they're gonna like
shoot something out there and expecting you not to know.
I sort of glaze over it to see if there's anything I couldn't live without, and if I don't see that, I just keep going.
Exactly, and I'm the same way,
So like on the flip side, obviously something you wouldn't want to see is no price, but what's something else that maybe a dealer might do that would be like, hey, like that's just not good etiquette, or that kind of drives you crazy?
Yeah, just ignore you. Just a horrible attitude. Not willing to answer questions. Not willing to work with you on anything, but just rude all in general. Because this might be my first card show ever.
Yeah.
And I'm coming to you with questions that maybe a first timer would have. Just have the same etiquette you would have for a kid to a guy who's been doing it for years. That's
absolutely.
how.
Yeah, I agree. We're here to have fun. One of the other guys that was a dealer said, like, I just like it when people smile and have a good attitude.
Yeah,
and that's
right.
Like, to me, it is a little baffling. You pay the money to set up at a show, and then you just sit there. You don't say hi.
Right, yeah,
like
you sit there eating your nuggets.
To be there.
Yeah.
It's very strange. So
exactly,
absolutely.
yeah, I'm the same way.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
All right, I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem
Thanks,
at all.
man.
Have a good one.
All right, so give me some things that you like to see card show attendees do when they walk up, and then some things maybe that you don't like to see them do.
I like when they ask if I'm negotiable.
Yeah.
Very just presentational, person to person, just conversation. I don't like when they just are like, oh, this is like one bad comp and stuff. I don't like the one comp thing.
Oh, gotcha, yeah.
But it's like, if you can make a deal, I'm more than willing to make a deal. As long as like they're honest and just like willing to work with me and be reasonable.
Yeah.
I like that personally.
Yeah, that's been a big thing, like reciprocity, like just let's work together,
Yeah.
Like talk to me about the card, I'll look at your data, but don't, like you said, don't push me on one fluky sale that just happened. That might have been like your buddy who just tried to manipulate the comp or something.
I like to go off the last couple sales, and if you can get a grand price, and cool. If not, no worries.
Yeah.
Like, don't get butthurt about a card.
Yeah. Anything else, like when they walk up, just like, in terms of how they approach your booth, or just cases or other things?
People who are like, how's it going? Like, if you're just like kind of there, just like not responding, it's kind of annoying, because it's like I try to be presentational and just be like, oh, like how's it going? Like, how are you? Whatever.
Yeah.
And it's just like it just goes a long way.
Yeah.
I find for me, even as a buyer, like if people are like, how are you? I'm like, good. Like, it's just it just starts a conversation too.
Yeah.
So that's what I find. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, I found the big guy's son here, who at this point, I think you are like a card show expert. I would call you a card show expert.
I would like to call myself a card show expert.
Yeah. So, what's something when you walk up to a dealer that you like it when they do this, or you don't like it when they do this thing?
Well, I mean, obviously I like it when they have their cards with like a sticker, and then I look it up and it's basically around that sticker, so you feel open to offering.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes people can be negotiable, but then you look at their sticker and it's like $200 above comps, and they might be willing to come down even $400 below that sticker, but I just feel like scared away, because like I don't want them to be almost mad at me for offering like $200 or $400 below what their sticker says.
So what's something when you walk up that like you love it? You love it when a dealer does this? Or
I love it when they just have their cards fairly priced, and they always want to look at your cards. Even if they like know in their head that they're not going to buy one. Like, I still like it when they kind of look at them. It's like, it's just
open to
nice.
trading.
Yeah.
Okay.
I like it when like they're just willing to offer on your cards, like cash or trade. Like, it's not that hard to say no. It's not that hard to make an offer. If you make an offer that you think you like, they say no. It's not a big deal. So I just like it when you get an offer, you know?
Yep. Yeah, I think that is actually true. Like, the negotiation aspect, some people, dealer and buyer alike, can get a little goofy around that, to where they're like, act like you're offending them or something. You're just trying to work out a deal. If you can't get to it, you can't get to it. But that's why we're all here usually, is I want to buy a card at the best value I can get. You're trying to sell and make some money, so it's not rocket science. All right, thanks, man.
All right, you're welcome.
Yeah, so like from the perspective of a dealer, I've never understood not having prices. I know it takes work, but I guarantee you're going to move more cards. To me, it just says, I'm not really interested in selling anything. And then the attitude piece is, thankfully, it's sort of few and far between. Most dealers are really cool to talk to, but sometimes these guys or gals, I don't know, they just seem angry to be here, and that is not what you want to do as a dealer. So if you're a dealer, be friendly. You heard it from the other guys. Be friendly. Price your cards. Be fair with your pricing. Be open to negotiation. and then you're going to have the most success, and the attendees are going to have a good time. All right, so if Reeves is a pro at attending card shops by this point, Ryan is very much a pro at being on the other side of the table at the shop. Probably both, honestly, but being at the other side of the table for sure. So Ryan, we're trying to help teach people, dealers, card show attendees, do's and don'ts. That's the name of the game. When somebody comes up to your booth, what's something you do want to see them do, and what's something you really don't want to see them do?
I love when they have their cards already priced out, whether it's a spreadsheet or even handwritten, or having their data in market movers all priced out. That makes the whole process quick and easy. The don'ts, dirty top loaders.
Dirty top loaders.
I have heavily invested in hand sanitizer because of card show circuits. The yellow ones really get to me.
It is when there's like hair inside of them, pieces of fingernail. I've had that stuff not emailed, but mailed to me on eBay. I pull it out and it's like, really? This is disgusting. I don't like leaving negative feedback on eBay, but sometimes I've been tempted because I'm a nasty top loader. You're the first person to say that. That resonates a lot. Get nice top loaders. Buying or selling, whatever you're doing. They're not that expensive. So I like it. All right, man. Thanks. All right, so I said Ryan is a professional at a show. If Ryan's a professional, we have the master, who's been doing this for a long time. Joe Davis got baseball cards. You guys all know him. Joe, trying to educate the audience. When people go to a card show, as a dealer, what are some things that you like to see them do when they come up to your booth, they're interested? And what are some things that they shouldn't do? Some faux pas.
Yeah, I think because we love interacting with people, bringing us their own collections, cards they want to trade. One of the challenging things is when you're at a busy show like this one is when people say, well, here's stuff I want to trade. And then I say, well, what do you want? And he goes, well, I don't really know. I don't know what I want for it. And I'm like, well, it's your card. So, and sometimes I want to say, everything we have is priced.
Yeah.
So we've done the research to put it out. So we encourage collectors who come to a show to do your own research first,
know the value.
so you know what you want out of your cards, because it makes it much easier to do seamless transactions. So I can either quickly say yes or no, this works, instead of, well, I don't really know, what do you think? And it's hard because shows can be so busy, and we're trying to help as many as we can. And when the collector hasn't done their research, it can create a lot of confusion and create more challenging interactions, because even if I know market and I'll say, well, this is a $50 card, and they go, oh, I think it's worth a lot more than that. And I'm like, well, it's your responsibility to do the research. So coming to a show prepared is huge. And we always like, when we're trading with kids, we prefer that a parent's there, so that the parent, I actually helped one of our collectors who was walking the floor, a 10-year-old, and he turned to me and he was like, Mr. Joe, can you help me with my trade? And he was trying to sell some cards, so I overwatched his sale with another dealer to make sure he wasn't getting taken advantage of. So we like it when the parent's involved to protect, so they know, the kid is getting a fair shake. So.
We hear it from all the people. We're asking attendees too, like what their pet peeves might be or things. And everybody says they always want the dealers to have their cards priced. Joe's got his cards priced, but it's a two-way street. So you're not trying to waste their time too when you walk up and play that. And if you're trying to figure out how to value your cards, using market movers will help you with that. So you can download market movers and check that out, and then you'll know what the value of your cards are. I like, one thing I've shown up before, Joe, is I'll actually go to a show, and if I have cards in my case, I put them in my market movers collection in a little category in there. And then when I show the dealer or somebody else at trade night, I can literally show them, like pull it up. I can even go, here, take my phone and look at what I have in my case and see if anything stands out to you. So having that pricing information available is really important if you want to get a deal done. What about, something that maybe I guess the flip of that would be a don't, but like anything else that's just like, hey, that's bad etiquette, or when they come up to your booth, something that would be off-putting?
Well, we get this more on sometimes bigger shows, certain parts of the country that I won't name, but you're just coming up with an attitude, hey, I know you're overcharged, like if someone leads with a negative attitude, then immediately from the dealer side, you're not as eager to work with them, Come with a good attitude, come with, I love working with collectors who are excited about collecting, and so it's not just about dollars and cents. It's about, helping a collector finish his set. I love seeing passion from those who are collecting on the other side, and I'm eager to work with them. So it's about building relationships, and so, come with a good attitude, don't, treat others as you would like to be treated at a card show. That's true in life, true at card shows for sure.
Absolutely. That transactional dynamic when you come in. Unfortunately, sometimes I think it can have a compounding effect too. Some dealers may even have found themselves getting a little jaded. Maybe they've been doing it for a long time, and because of that aspect, that it's increased, I think, in recent years. Some people, I think, now even have let it impact themselves, like on the other side of the table, where you come up to them and then they're not as friendly as maybe they used to be because they're tired of everybody just going, what's the best you could do on this? Or can you do 33% on this card or whatever, and then getting mad and walking away. So we're hearing this as a theme, reciprocal respect on both sides.
Yes, absolutely.
Good advice.
Yeah.
Thanks, Joe.
All right, sure thing, man. Thank you.
All right, I tracked him down. He's elusive. Everybody stops me and says, where's Jeff? Well, I found him. He's been to a few card shows at this point, on both sides of the table,
one or two.
honestly. But Jeff, when you're at a show, what do you expect from a dealer when you're approaching them, and what are some things that just make you want to instantly move on?
I expect dealers to have prices on their cards. It drives me nuts when they have a whole entire showcase of beautiful cards and no prices. Now, sometimes if I ask a dealer the price on something and if he's like, hey, I'm going to sell everything at recent comps, then okay. Like, at least I know I can look up the price of anything in Market Movers and he'll sell it for that price. But dealers that don't put prices and then kind of price them high when you ask them for a price, that's like an immediate disqualification for me. I also look for dealers that's prices are within the range of recent comps. Some dealers will have things, their asking price is like double what the card sold for recently. And if I see that on a couple of their cards, I'll just walk away. Because I'm like, I'm not even going to bother to try to negotiate you down by half on your cards to try to buy anything. So those are a couple things that are kind of must-haves for me if I'm going to stop at a table.
This is where I say like father, like son, because Reeves gave us the exact same answer, more or less. No, apple doesn't fall far from the tree, but it's true. I mean, I come up, if I see something way over comp, what Reeves said is, he's like, I don't know, that guy might be willing to come down to a fair price, but I feel insulting, like asking, you're at $200 on a $100 card. I'm not going to say, like, even play the game of like, hey, look at what this sold for. Usually that just annoys them anyway, and you're just going to move on.
I totally agree. Obviously, having nice showcases where the cards are nicely displayed always helps. I love dealers that have like a theme where there's an organization, there's a theme to what they're doing. So like when you walk up to their table, it's like, oh, this guy's got a lot of modern soccer, or oh, this guy's got like a lot of vintage, or whatever it is, or 90s inserts. Like, I like themes and I like showcases. Even if a dealer's got a variety of stuff, then I want to see at least each showcase kind of having a centralized theme, so your eyes take you and you know where to look.
You can focus. That's a good one. All right.
So,
thank you, sir.
Yeah, absolutely. Enjoy the show.
All right, I'm here. You got to follow JavaCards824 on Instagram. Makes some really interesting content. So does his son, frankly. You guys are both got this creative mind for historical stuff with sports cards, basketball cards. But when you're at a show, remind me, like, what do you expect when you walk up to a dealer? Like, what do you expect to see from them? And what are some things that are just like instant turnoffs that you're like, I'm moving on?
It's interesting because when I walk up and I see them kind of engaging with other people, I think it's important for them to acknowledge at least your presence for a second, because sometimes I linger for 5-10 minutes and I understand they've got a big deal going right next to me. But if they don't make that eye contact and say, hey, I'll be with you in a second, I do end up moving on.
That's a good point.
But when they do engage with you and then you connect with them, I think the important thing is really being respectful first of the setup. But people put their stuff on top of their display cases, but kind of making that connection with them, and honestly, having Landon, my 12-year-old, with me, a lot of people seem to resonate having a son like this deal right now with the jambalaya.
No big deal. No big deal.
It just happened in part because he was there and they were about to sell it to a dealer, and they said, you've got your son here, and we like it going into a private collection and having your son. So that literally tipped the scale. The offers were the same, and
that
he chose me
dealer's
over the
not
deal.
Your biggest fan at this point. I can say that safely.
So those kind of things, making that connection with them and respecting their property, essentially.
Yeah, that's a great point, and one we haven't heard yet. It's the same thing in like a retail store, at Cards HQ or somewhere. You expect that when you walk in and it's busy, at least acknowledging. If you walk up to the desk and you just have a quick question like, "Hey, I'll be right with you," whatever. I think that actually does go a long way. I hadn't even thought of that one myself, but now that you say that, that stands true for me too. So I appreciate it. Thanks. All right, I'm here with Paul Hickey, Sports Card Strategy Show, nooffseason.com. big Market Movers user. He's been part of our staff helping us over the years with things. A lot of card shows, and I know you like to flip. You like the hustle. You like to flip and negotiate. So, you know, some people like that. Some people get annoyed by it. But like from your perspective with that, you're obviously still trying to get deals done. When you're going to a dealer at a show, what do you expect from the dealer from your perspective? Do's, don'ts, what are you looking for?
Thanks for having me, Teapot. Great to see you, by the way. Other than like the basic mutual respect situation, I like to interact. And I think the way that I like to interact is I like to ask the dealer to give me their price on maybe 3 cards in their showcase, and then I pull, if they have like a value box, I'll pull maybe 3 out of the value box. I'll comp all 6 of them myself, and I'll ask them for their price. If we're super close, then I know that it's worth spending time and maybe putting together a bigger bulk deal at that table. And if we're super far apart, then I'm gonna go somewhere else. So it's just, I value efficiency.
Yep.
And so I think like coming up, doing that exercise off the bat is a good exercise for everybody to just kind of understand where the dealer's at, where you're at. And additional advice, like I learned some lessons coming to card shows early on. Don't feel obligated to buy anything because there's so many options.
Yeah.
And so go through the exercise with each dealer that I just described and find what works for you. And make sure that you double and triple check comps as well.
Yeah.
So that's my advice. That's what I like to do. And I think that that opens up just natural interaction between you and the dealer. And then you can gauge how well things are going and if you want to pull the trigger or not.
I call that the card collector 2 strategy. I see Ryan do that, and he didn't invent it, but it is a good negotiation tactic to get value as a buyer, to say, you know, what would you want for these 3? Okay, now you got a price that's maybe a little lower. Okay, what if I throw this in? Now you get a little price that's a little lower, and then I'll see Ryan, if the guy's at like 400 and it's 500 in value, then he'll go, what if I throw this $50 card in? Would you take 430? You know, he kind of keeps incrementally layering in value for himself. It does work, but so I think that, you know, to kind of recap that from the dealer's perspective, they should want to move cards too, and they're buying at a good price. Typically, that's their game. So, you know, being open to that, being open to the other side, saying, yeah, you know, like if I'm going to buy volume from you and you a big stack of cash, I need to get, you know, a little room on that too. But the approach matters a lot. The approach matters. Some dealers are going to get super ticked off if you're aggressive or expecting too much. Understanding they've got to make their money on it too is really important.
I got one don't.
Okay.
If you don't mind, I throw it out there.
Please do.
For dealers and attendees.
Okay.
Don't bring cards to the show that you bought on eBay or online
Yesterday.
that are
Or last week.
valued at less than what you bought them for, because you will be tempted to move them for cash and you will get absolutely slaughtered.
You've got an interesting perspective, because not only do you set up as a dealer, but you actually run a show, a local show.
We run 2 shows here in Atlanta.
Talk a little bit about that, and then like what you expect as a dealer from people who are attending a show.
Well, we run 2 shows here in Atlanta at the Chandler-Dunwoody area. We're celebrating our 30th year as the longest continuously running show in the state of Georgia.
Wow.
We started in 1995. We've just moved to a larger, bigger venue. But yeah, don't loiter.
Don't loiter.
Loiter. That's one of the biggest things you get.
Yeah.
Is because if people can't see what you got,
Yeah.
then you can't sell anything.
Yeah.
Don't try to underbuy too much or oversell your stuff.
Yeah.
It's one of the biggest problems. People, you know, we have a great idea of what things go for, and most of the times we know better than the people who are trying to sell them. But people have such high expectations for their stuff, they hit something, they think it's the holy grail.
Yep.
And it's not really the holy grail.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, I try to be fair with everybody. I try to, if I'm buying as close to market as I can, so I can still make a couple of dollars on it, but not so that they feel like they've gotten taken.
Yeah, just be reasonable, right?
Yep.
Either way.
And then if you're going through a card bin, don't mix up. If you know one is baseball and one is football, don't take the baseball cards out and stick them back in the football bin.
Upside down and backwards.
Backwards, you know, front to back. And that's one of my biggest pieces. We'll spend, you know, a couple of hours a day sorting all our stuff to make sure everything's right for the show. And I can go, oh, that's my baseball box, that's my football box. And then by the end of the show, it's just a menagerie of just different
I'm the guy who puts stuff back where it goes as I go through dollar boxes, because I did a whole video on dollar box etiquette, and I talked exactly about, it's like, Just treat it like you'd want to be treated. It's so bizarre when people don't. I don't know. I don't get it. So that's interesting.
And my biggest thing is I don't do dollar boxes because the prices fluctuate so quickly from one day to the next.
Yeah.
So I do you make me a stack, I'll give you a price.
Okay.
The bigger your stack, the better your price is going to be.
Yeah.
I said if you buy one card, maybe it's going to be $3. If you buy 50 cards, you might get an average of $1 a card.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things. So, but that's pretty much my big do's and don'ts right there.
Yeah, well, it was a big deal for me to agree to talk to him today because he's wearing a Commander's shirt after they just knocked out my Lions. So I'm still reeling, but I am rooting for them. By the time this video airs, they will have either made it to the Super Bowl or not.
I'd love to see them have a rematch with Buffalo again.
I'm pulling for it. It would be great. That's what I'm hoping. Well, we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah.
All right. I appreciate the insight.
I'm playing with house money right now.
That's
we weren't
good.
even supposed to make the playoffs. So
yeah, insane turnaround.
Yep.
So thanks. Appreciate the perspective. Good to see you as always. Thank you.
You got it.
All right. So I got Vic here. We're just coming off a lunch, and he came over to share some kind words about content and everything. And I was asking him, what do you like at a show when you're attending a show, or what are you not? And you shared with me, this is your second show that you've been to.
That's right.
So you're new. Mm-hmm. So that's a fresh perspective. This is literally why I'm making this video. So from your perspective, second show, what has stood out to you that from the dealer side that's been like, man, I really liked that dealer, something about what they did? And was there anything you saw that you were like, oh, I can't believe that person did that, or just what jumps out at you?
Yeah, totally. So I think the first thing that was surprising to me was upfront being asked what percentage are you looking for.
Oh.
And so that was like, okay, we're getting right into the business.
Yeah. Was that you selling, or you like looking at their cards?
This is when I was selling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so what I thought was interesting was if I would say a number that they would give me, basically I wondered then in my head, am I giving them the right number, or am I getting got, sort of thing?
Yeah.
But what I did appreciate was when I would put the cards out for someone and they would give me what they were looking for. And what I really appreciated was, one, kindness.
Yeah.
It made a big difference to me that who I was talking to felt like they wanted to be talking to me. And then the other part was sometimes you get a bottom line from someone.
Yeah.
And I really appreciated that. The first time I came to a show, I didn't think about negotiating or any of that stuff. I saw the sticker prices, and I kind of would get sold on something, and I bought it.
Yeah.
Because that's what I came for the show for.
Yeah.
But the second time when I came here, what I really liked was when I was getting into the negotiation, having someone that is not coming from a place of like power to,
being trying to take advantage of you.
Exactly.
Yeah. But like, did you tell them like, oh, this is my second show, or did anybody know that, or like?
I didn't tell them.
Okay.
I figured if they could tell probably by my face that this was my first or second show.
Yeah.
But the other part was that I came with a lot more vintage this time.
Okay.
And for me, that felt I knew what prices were more stable.
Yeah.
And knowing what I was looking for, I actually had stuff to look for.
So when you're going to these shows, are you looking to, like, are you trying to flip cards, or are you kind of collecting and flipping, or how'd you get into it?
Yeah, so I first got into cards from just collecting.
Okay.
But yeah, I started to get into like flipping and basically just looking for deals, and with the understanding that I'd come to a show in person.
Yeah.
And building in my margin without the
fees,
without the online fees, exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so that's been my favorite part about coming the second time.
Yeah.
Has been coming in with something to sell.
Yeah.
And when I'm negotiating, being at a place almost where we're both looking for a deal.
Yeah, I mean, that's the nice thing too. If you do go to shows, especially if you find local shows, Culture Collision, it historically was once a year. They did do one last fall too. You can find dealers that are consistently there, and you can build a relationship with them. And then if that's sort of your routine and your MO, you're like, I like scouring for good deals on Facebook or on Discord or on eBay or wherever, and I know I can bring him over to Dealer Jim, and he's always going to give me a fair price. I know he's got to get his margin on it too. You kind of build that dynamic. That goes a long way, and it can make going to a show that much easier when you're trying to do that. You don't have to try to wander around the room and ask 15 different people, 20 different people, what will you give me for this? I'm just going back to Jim because he's treated me fair. So if you're a dealer, that does go a long way. It's back to that piece we talked about with Joe Davis of like not being transactional and not being like too blunt. Like just, you're human, I'm human. We're here to have a good time, have fun, help me help you. So I think all that makes sense.
If I could say one thing, I I came here and I go to a local card shop that I have, a hobby shop, and someone that I know is here, and it made a really big difference to me. I think part of coming to a card show, more than even just selling and buying, is being in a tangible place with the community around me, the people in the hobby.
Yeah.
And that's valuable to me as well.
That's a great point. That's to me, that's the best part about a show.
Me too.
I like talking to the people. I've gone to many shows and left without a card, not more because I just can't stop interacting and chatting with people. So I appreciate it, Vic. Thanks a lot, man.
Thank you. It's
Good
great to meet you.
today. Yep. Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, I had a great day at Culture Collision. Thanks so much to the show organizers. And I loved talking to everybody about their tips for do's and don'ts of the show. I had a list of my own coming in. So I'm going to close this out by going through some of those things. Let's start with the perspective of a dealer. Now, I'll admit, I haven't set up formally as a dealer before. I have sold cards at a card show once when we organized with SCI. But some things that I would expect from card show attendees: ask before touching cards like in the showcase. Don't reach over and lift open somebody's showcase yourself to grab anything. I would feel like that goes without saying, but I've seen people do that before. That's a no-no. Second thing, we heard this all the time, is respectful negotiation. Just walking up and just pointing at a card and going, what's your lowest on that? That is not a starting point. Most dealers will say, I don't negotiate with myself, or what's the most you're willing to pay for that card? It's just an offensive thing. That's not the typical negotiation etiquette that people are looking for. Third thing, be mindful of space. We heard that from one of the dealers that we talked to. Don't crowd somebody's area. If you run into a buddy, don't stand there swinging your backpack, not knowing where you are, smacking people and blocking their card showcases. I actually accidentally did that at the National. When somebody walked up to me and they were like, hey, I've got a card you want to be interested in. It caught me off guard. I was not self-aware about where I was standing, but the guy, the dealer did, he was kind of irritated, and rightly so. He said, hey, can you basically like get out of the way? You're like blocking people who want to actually buy from me. So, be mindful of your space. The fourth thing is, actually ask them, don't assume before you start some big deal that they take credit card or that they take PayPal or that they take anything. If there's any doubt in your mind and you don't have cash on you, and you go through this whole process of working through things, and then you go, okay, we worked it out and it's a $10,000 deal, here's my PayPal or whatever, and they don't take PayPal or they only take Cash App, just make sure your payment methods are gonna square up before you waste their time and your own. And then just, ask questions. Ask questions. They said that. Ask questions. Don't just get like skittish around them. They're there to help you. Ask questions. Be respectful. Do that. Some of the things also not to do from the perspective of a dealer. If you're attending a card show, don't lowball them excessively. Just like somebody else said that. If the card's marked at $200, do not walk up and go, will you take $100 for this card? Like just don't do that. Another thing is, be careful with their cards. If you break it, you buy it. Like that should be your attitude. So don't be reckless with them. Don't just like spread them all out. Don't be careless putting it behind you where somebody else could walk by and steal it. Don't do that. Don't interrupt another transaction. So we heard a good perspective from a buyer saying like, hey, if I walk up and you're in the middle of a deal, at least acknowledge my existence and my presence. Say, hey man, how you going? I'll be right with you. But likewise, don't interrupt. If they're working out a deal, don't walk up and say like, hey, are you interested in this? Or do something along those lines. And then, honestly, like I would say from my perspective, and Jeff mentioned this, Reeves did, I don't even engage when the pricing is crazy. Maybe some dealers would say like, hey, I want you to, like I want you to ask me, maybe I'm over comp. But like in general, I see that as the responsibility. So like, don't even go there. If you're the one attending, don't complain about their pricing. They can charge whatever they want. They can mark their cards however they want. And if they're overpriced, they're not going to move the card probably. So that's on them if that's their choice at the end of the day. For buyers, expecting from dealers. So if you are a dealer, keep your prices clear. Greet people when they come up. Be honest about card condition. No shady nonsense. There was an issue at the National that I knew about. I think this happened to Jeff, where somebody was actually concealing damage on a card that was like in a sealed one touch with the pricing sticker over the top left corner, and behind that sticker there was corner damage that you couldn't see because it wasn't visible on the back of the card, it was only visible on the front. Be honest about the card condition. Don't try to scam anybody over that. That should go without saying also. Make offers with reasonable flexibility. Understand that people are going to want to negotiate, and keep your space clean, organized, make it look and present well. That's going to make people want to approach you. Don't overprice your cards significantly, use something like Market Movers. If you want to use Market Movers, download it for free. Go to marketmoversapp.com and you can use code DIVE. You'll get 20% off and you can try it out for free. Don't ignore buyers. Don't just sit there with your arms folded, and just barely acknowledge somebody's existence. They shouldn't have to come to you. Like if they come up to your booth, you greet them and start the conversation. You're there to, win their business essentially. Don't nickel and dime. At the end of the day, like work out a deal, let them know that you want to get the deal done. And then don't disparage the buyer's knowledge. Don't talk to them, like talk down to them. Don't act like you know more than they do. Even if you know you do, just talk to them. Maybe it's their first or second card show like the guy we heard from earlier, Vic. You never know. So try to help educate them, make them want to come back to a card show. It's going to be good for you. It's going to be good for the other shows, for the other dealers. It's going to be good for the hobby overall. So those are my other tips for a card show. I would love to hear from you down in the comments below. Your tips, your pro tips. How do you like to enjoy a card show? What's the best aspect? And tell me some of your do's and don'ts. I hope this video was educational, something a little bit different. I'll be at more card shows in the future, there's no doubt about that. Thanks as always for watching, and until next time, happy investing, keep on collecting, and make sure to have fun.